Hello people of the future and welcome back to Throwback Thursday. Today we have Let's Make a Trading Card Game episode 0.2. If you remember from last episode, there was this small intro to the episode where there's a small little music and it's an animation which I wanted to use for the new Let's Make a Trading Card Game series, but then I realized it really was cleaner just to put up the episode as it is without any intros. The quality wasn't really that great, so I decided to drop it. I don't know what to say about this episode other than I'm creating cards in it, so without further ado, here it is.
Hello people of the future, welcome to Making and Trading Card Game, episode 2, Designing Cards. So first of all, I'm going to brainstorm things that one might expect to see in a space fantasy game or space exploration game, and just apply them to my game and limit them to the rules of the game. If you still can identify what the card is supposed to be, then I have achieved my goal. Let's start brainstorming. Okay, so I have been dropping names of things that I think a person would expect to find in a space exploration game, like all kinds of creatures, ships, buildings, actions, and planets. Like there's the doctor, the farmer, the builder, the butcher, the monster, which is kind of broad of a category, the battle robot, the captain, the pilot, the spy, the assassin, the engineer. All of these tropes need to feel like it's really an assassin, an engineer, an astronomer, a banker, a carpenter. All of these creatures have to be all very unique. And you can do this if you use piggybacking, which is basically using the knowledge that people already have about the thing that you're trying to recreate and designing it very similar to what their expectation is. For example, if I would design a zombie, it would be slow, it would be kind of stupid and disposable. Anyone can take on a zombie, but you can't survive an entire horde of zombies. That's when they're powerful. I don't know why zombie was my example. I don't have any zombies yet here. But let's say, what does an assassin do? Well, it kills other creatures or people or whatever. I can start with the knowledge that people have about assassins, and if I make an assassin in the game and it kills other stuff, then it feels right. Of course, these are not real names, are just placeholders. I've noticed that the distinction between ships and buildings isn't very sharp. I mean, look, you have a capsule, like a one-man capsule. Is that a ship? Is that a building? It's a structure, some sort of structure, but not necessarily either a ship or a building. So by saying that there are ships and buildings, I raise the possibility of something in between or something completely different. Like a telescope that goes in orbit around the planet. That's not a building, and that's not a ship, really. So I think I'll combine ships and buildings into one category, one type of card that will just be called structures. Things that are constructed. So now I'll be using this piggybacking method on these cards that are just really tropes used in space fantasy and science fiction and all of this. And we'll confine them to the rules of my game. And hopefully you will still be able to guess what trope they're supposed to represent. The 6 resources are not equivalent. There are 3 main resources and 3 secondary resources. The main ones are metal, food, and energy. And planets that produce those types of resources produce 2 units every turn, while labor, money, and intellect are secondary resources, and planets that make those resources produce only 1. Why is that? Because you can use labor to pay as metal or energy. You can use money to pay as metal and food. You can pay intellect as though it were food or energy. This way, when you explore the galaxy and find your opponent's planets, more often than not you can actually use the resource that it produces. As you can see, I've assigned the cards to their most suitable color. Like builder is collected to labor. I think for now I'll just fill in all of the rules text, because I think that is the most important part of the card, what it actually does. And everything else, the stats, can be modified later. I can put in some temporary stats. The rarity is a very important part actually of trading card games, because using rarity you can manipulate how often a card shows up. So if a card is too difficult to use, or too powerful, or too narrow, you make it rare.
I've been working for a while and I need some coffee. For you Americans there, US citizens, I'll show you what real coffee is. That's a coffee.
Okay, so for some reason Windows crashed, and I managed to save most of my progress, but something got lost here, for example. But basically I have written the rules for all the cards, and now I need to organize them by type, by color. And since I'm not just making cards, I'm making a set of cards. They need to be all organized, and there has to be the right amount of each color. There need to be the strategy need to be consistent. So I'll fill in the gaps where I can, and some things will go, something will come. And you can see I'm just these are probably like actually 85 cards rather than, yeah, you can see there are some gaps. And so I'll need to add a lot of cards which can be designed in other ways other than piggybacking. You can design them bottom up, starting with the mechanic and then making a full-fledged card. Also, I need to make sure that all the strategies are different and consistent and balanced. I don't want to put in super rare cards, because if they end up being really strong, people need to buy a lot of packs, and this frustrates the player base and just being mean, really. Now I need to fill up all of these slots with the cards that complement the strategies, and put in the cards in the right rarities, and put all the stats, blah blah blah. It's cool to have these super rare cards just for the feeling of finding them, but they don't necessarily need to be very powerful. Hey people, this is another day. Wow, I underestimated the challenge. This is quite difficult to do. I decided to focus on one color at a time, and I decided to go with orange, which is supposed to be the aggressive color, the color of metal and minerals. So most of the creatures are robots and artificial, and there are lots of structures and buildings, a lot of stuff. I don't know how much time I will spend on this. I wanted to make sort of a very rough version so that I could test this with my friends later. I think I'm, giving this too much thought. I probably should speed this thing up and make just basic cards so that people could play. Okay, making cards, I realized that correlating every color with just one resource or a couple of resources wasn't very effective, meaning that I was limiting myself to very straightforward cards, and I couldn't expand the possibilities and capabilities of the color. So now a color symbolizes more a style of play. I have to finish at least a rough version of all of the cards by tomorrow, so that I can test them, playtest them. So it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and I've made this first cut of cards. I need to make a simple template of them, print them out and cut them, and oh wait, I missed a spot here. There's one left, one common. I'm very tired. Anyway, I've also made these big and galaxies. I made the hexagons quite big so that more than one card can fit. These are just temporary templates, of course, just so you can play the game. I don't know really how to print these cards out. Maybe make like a simple Photoshop image or something. We'll see. So it's 9 in the morning and it looks like I won't finish in time. I have no chance of finishing in time for today. I have all of the cards in English, but since I am translating them into Russian, because it's easier for my Russian friends to read in Russian, especially a game they've never played. So I've been printing these sort of playtest cards, and they're okay, I guess, for playtest cards. Everything is written down, everything is simple, there aren't any distractions. Just the process of translation plus the tweaking of some details made it impossible for me to finish on time. Okay, it's another day, and I'm continuing to translate all of the cards, and I'm printing them out. A few things I've noticed is that some colors have a stronger identity than others, like yellow is very strong in its identity. It has cards that no other color has, and a lot of them, and almost a strategy devoted exclusively to yellow. While, for example, red and orange, there are a lot of similarities in the overall strategy, which is basically aggressive. Put things into ships and send them right to your opponent. Maybe as the game develops, or as I understand better, all of the colors, this will change, or they will merge into one color, which is also possible. And I found that green doesn't really have a winning strategy. I've sort of artificially created this strategy where green puts creatures on other players' planets, so they can directly attack anything that's on that planet, sort of symbolizing the survival of the fittest of animals that already live on other planets. So you're awakening the instinct using these cards or something. I don't know how this is going to go, but this is what I have for now.
So I finally finished translating all the cards. I made some decks. It's all hastily done, and the costs are all weird, but who cares? I have something to start testing with. I've done my best to make it as balanced as possible, but it's a first, test, and you don't really have anything to compare anything to, so all the costs are basically from my head. That's enough for this time. Let's go testing. See ya.